Welcome, heroes and villains, to the Fjook Enterprises YouTube channel. As always, I'm your host, Fjook. Today we're going to be doing another Conversations with Fjook on my grand adventure to interview all the game masters I know. I'll let the person I'm interviewing today introduce themselves.
Hey, so this is Anthony. I'm a more recent GM, although I did GM a few times, or a one-off when I was a lot younger. I've been playing. I have played D&D and other RPGs, both when I was younger. Took a hiatus until high school. High school played a bit, then again took a hiatus until a few years ago.
How did you get into tabletops, Anthony?
I'm looking at the person who got me into tabletop gaming when we were a lot younger. When we were both a lot younger, and you had introduced me originally to the Star Wars RPG, and that was the first system I had that I was introduced to before D&D.
So, what systems have you played?
So I have to say you've introduced me to most of them. So you've introduced me to both Pathfinder, the Star Wars system. There was a superhero system that we've done a couple of times. And then I've played mostly in D&D in the 3.5 and 5e system.
So how did you go from being a player to running a game?
I think it was out. I don't know if it was out of necessity or just GM fatigue from the usual GM. I don't know if that's an accurate reflection.
So, are there any role-playing systems you refuse to run?
None that I've been introduced to thus far. Again, I'm a pretty novice GM, and I haven't actually run that many games outside of D&D. So I think I'd always be willing to try a new system, although I think I would always end up using some mechanics from the systems I'm more familiar with.
Are there any systems you enjoy running?
Well, I wouldn't be running as much D&D as if I didn't enjoy it. I've always enjoyed it as both a player and as a GM. Both have their challenges. I know a lot of complaints about 5e is the feeling of sameness, that all the characters end up feeling the same, that they're really hard to kill. But I think that the D&D system has prevailed for so long just because it's easy to fit your story and use that system to tell it, or to have the players to interact in it.
Are there any moments of the players completely surprising you that come to your mind when you think about gaming?
I could ask you to tell me these stories. Both your characters and the characters of Jonathan have definitely pulled me in different directions, but definitely also unexpected directions. One of your characters it was John Farmer. He had another name that he went by. Yes, Nitrios. I was definitely not expecting him to kill the king the way that he did, and definitely not as viciously and where it happened. Like if I remember correctly, the king's body was just a wee bit of a stump after you were done with it, as his head was caved in. He was always in play. He was a killable character. I was not expecting him to be taken out at that point. If there was any place I was expecting him to be taken out, was at the wedding ceremony where a lot of the other characters ended up dying.
Are there any moments when you think of your gaming history of running? Are there any moments of you? Are there any moments of you running a game where everything went according to plan?
I going back to that same campaign, I was actually really pleased with the direction that that story held for so long. The fact that we were able to keep most of our players together for quite a big majority of that game. I really enjoyed playing as Lord Doverson. Um, is definitely that was definitely fun, and it was interesting to keep some of his motives secret from the rest of the party that the party had to try to pry from him.
As a last question, any advice to fellow game masters out there?
I would say don't be afraid to fail. Um, I've learned that with the people that I've played with, especially, that as long as you're confident with what you're running, that they'll make themselves have a fun time. Um, I've had players screw around, and I allow them. I try to keep my games a little sandboxy so that they can do what they want, but at the same time, I'm trying to push my narrative, and hopefully they could both mesh together. Um, and again, look to other storytellers that you've either read in a book or that you've experienced in one of your previous sessions. Use them for inspiration. It's always good maybe to have a few villains or a few extra killable characters just in your back pocket, just in case you need a random encounter. Also, don't be disappointed if your characters miss something, miss a section that you wanted them to interact with. Um, Again, going back to that same campaign, there was something going on upstairs, and there was a whole NPC that you guys missed, and that would have been a whole extra side mission that you guys could have interacted with um, had that happened. But you guys missed it, but it ended up becoming the fight club that you guys ended up partaking in later on in the game. So I think also being flexible and allowing, again, for even if you don't use it when you intended to use it, keep it because you never know how it's going to be used in the future.
As always, do all the YouTube things. Like, comment, subscribe, and I'll see you in the next one. Hell,
Have a good
Anthony
day.
might even be in it.